Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Small Talk, which should be my LCS postgame interview content. I'm here with FlyQuest's very own top laner Bwipo, and Bwipo, I'm just get to it. I need to understand your feelings about this big 2-week break. Right, there's a lot going on, very divisive, I think, within the community. A lot of people liked it. I recently talked to Bwipo. He said that he actually enjoyed the break. It was very good for him and to get together with his team and practice more. For you specifically, did you feel like the break was productive for FlyQuest or for yourself, or did you kind of wish that you were just playing 2 weeks more?
I think for us it was actually pretty productive. I think ultimately the things that we were talking about and wanted to learn from this break, we're gonna have to put into test on stage, and we're gonna have to see how the performance goes on stage, because obviously you're trying to do new things when you're the best team in the league, or at least best performing team in the league. Um, it's hard to put yourself in a position where you are trying to see what you can do better, because while you're winning on stage, you can do small things better, but what do you effectively anticipate that the other teams are going to change, right? So preparing strategies to be ready for the second half of the split is going to be pretty important, in my opinion. That's where from my perspective at least, what we were trying to focus on and work on as a team. Um, didn't really work out today, but it's something that's important. And either way, it's from my point of view, is losing today, even maybe tomorrow, is par for the course. I think that if we're having the mindset right now that we should be uh, pairing and drafting in a way that's the exact same way that we've been successful for the entire split, I think that's going to make us really exploitable and one-dimensional as a team. So I'm happy to see that as a team, we all are trying to expand our repertoires as individual players, but also how we play. Um, that comes to draft, but also gameplay, and we're just improving and learning things together as individual players as well as a team. So from my perspective, it's just really important that we go through this phase to make sure that we are not a one-dimensional team just because we're first place and we win the regular season. Because coming into playoffs, if you play the whole season, 14 games, the same style, always the same game, you draft very similarly, it's really easy to get exploited once people actually analyze your games, which is something that usually doesn't happen. People don't make full-on documents and preparation for all your level ones, all the drafts you make, all the time, all the plays you made the entire split. So I think for the most part, this is par for the course, coming from a break as one of the better teams, because other teams are obviously, they're not trying to do anything new. They're just solely focused on improving what they've sucked at so far, right? That's what they wanted to do. They sucked, which is why they were losing, and now they're getting better at it. Meanwhile, you're trying something new, or at least you're adjusting things that are they rub a little different for everyone, right? It's not the same formula that you've used to be successful for the entirety of the first half of the split. So that's my perspective. Maybe I'm coping. I don't know. We'll see. But that's why, for me, it sucks to lose. That's why I'm not happy. It's definitely not a happy feeling, but
Of
I'm not
course.
sad either. I'm just neutral. Oh well, it sucks to lose, but I'm happy that we did this. I'm happy that we looked into this, and I think being short-sighted right now and playing the exact drafts and gameplay style that we would have normally, um, I think that would affect us more negatively near the end of the split than just being the clear first place team coming into playoffs.
I mean, I guess that kind of feeds into also, we can even expand further than that, right? You've been on a ton of world-class rosters, competing for worlds and stuff like that. Is there kind of the mentality for you guys, winning LCS, obviously very important, don't get me wrong, but also adapting your play style so that you can compete at a world-class level, right? You have players on your roster that have been to worlds, that have competed at worlds, that have placed pretty highly at worlds, including yourself, right? Obviously you have two players that have never really competed as well with Busio and Masu. Is there that mentality for you guys to also, yes, winning LCS, very important, coming into playoffs, being more flexible on team comps, being more flexible on playstyles, but also kind of getting yourselves ready for the world class because it's such a giant jump in skills sometime?
I think for the most part, it's really important to for us. I think it's really important to make MSI. I mean, me especially. Obviously, I would love to make MSI.
Of course.
Go back to playing in China. For personal and obviously I'd like personal reasons. I'd love to play 369 if that's possible, but also just in general. Um, so I think that's the main goal. I think most of the focus on making to the international event in our team, and then Obviously, winning the split is still really important, but more than anything, I feel like we just focus on playing good League of Legends, which I think is the way to make it to a championship victory or make it internationally. Like, you don't want to make the goal about winning a championship or about going international, because what does that entail, right? Like, that you can't really quantify that. Um, Much easier to quantify what is good League of Legends for everyone individually when that's your goal as a team, right? You assign everyone a certain responsibility, and I think that that's what makes these kind of long breaks different for teams that are lower in the standings and teams that are higher in the standings, because the teams that are higher in the standings tend to experiment. Like, okay, so who can we give the responsibility to carry, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, are we drafting any insurance policies? What are we doing? Um, are we not drafting any insurance policies and putting all the trust into early game? Uh, all these type of small things make a huge difference. Like, for example, we've played Ash Virus or like similar poke lanes before, but this game we had no insurance, right? Normally we would have like top scaling, mid scaling as insurance in case if we don't get a big advantage on bot lane, it's fine. I'll scale them, not a big deal. This game we look for much more early game aggression, or like not even aggression, but like just much more robust lanes early game, right? Looking for the Karma mid and the Aatrox, and then picking that with the poke comp. So when we fell behind, it was pretty damn hard to play because our champions all needed some form of advantage to conduct themselves advantageously, other than Maokai, which he was insurance, but he wasn't enough insurance to compensate for the fact that I fell behind too. So maybe if I was still really strong and I didn't fall behind, that would be great. But the advantage we got playing the game was not large enough for our composition. So when I fell behind as well, it was like we had no real lane to play around, and it became a really tough game.
Yeah, I do want to talk about perfect segue, kind of the strategy around it, because you see the Renekton in Italy. It's not a new combo, right? Like, what goes in your head as the Aatrox player? Because it's coming, right? The dive, the stacked wave. Is there like something that you need to do on your end, or is it more of a result of, hey, I'm gonna get dove at wave 3, wave 4? If you're not here, Maokai and Spider, if you're not here, I'm done, right? Or if like bottom lane needs to get an advantage, like what is the strategy for you specifically as the Aatrox player, seeing that Renekton in Italy? Like, it's rough, right?
Man, I just wanted to try the matchup, see how it feels playing it on stage, because obviously in scrims it's been played before, and like historically it's been played many, many years. Obviously, it's one of the staple matchups at this point. Like Renekton Gnar, Renekton Gnar, Renekton Aatrox, and Aatrox Renekton are like I would say probably some of the most picked matchups of all time in top lane competitively. If I had to go look, probably it's up there. Normally you would default to Ornn, right? Like I would pick Ornn or a similar tank, but I just wanted to see what it was going to look like playing it on stage. Obviously, this was our playoffs game, and our lives depended on it. I probably wouldn't have picked Aatrox. I told my team that as well, but I did want to experience it on stage and see for the long term of the split, like how it plays on stage and how it feels to play. And I mean, like I said, maybe that's the wrong approach, but I think personally, through my experience, going 7-3, going I don't know, like 14-4, 13-5 are the scores I remember first place teams having, and those were usually the most dominant teams. Like they would win the split as first place by like 1 or 2 games, and then they would also just stomp playoffs the whole way through because they actually experimented with picks. They tried to kind of push the boundaries of who on their team was going to take responsibility within the game to carry, who gets the insurance policy, who doesn't. Like these type of questions that need to kind of be answered in your draft, because obviously depending on what you draft and how you draft it, the lane can play very differently. Like I mentioned, right? Like Ash Virus, that's a lane that needs to get ahead if your top side doesn't scale, because otherwise you're just going to be worse in the game than the Nautilus. He's just going to hook the first guy and win, right? But if you're playing it together with other poke champions, maybe you can squeeze in a Rumble, maybe you can squeeze in like a tank top that can actually create space for your team. The interactions of the champions change significantly, and suddenly they don't have to win lane.
Bwipo, I think we're.
Sorry, I got told.
Yeah, I think we're ending it on time because I have another interview. I just got the 2-minute warning. I really appreciate you taking time. It's tough to do an interview after a loss. Do you have any shout outs to the FlyQuest fans? Anybody watching specifically?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I really appreciate all the fans being so positive about our team. Obviously, it's easy to be positive when we're winning, and we haven't lost much. I mean, 3 losses is not that much in my book. So I just really appreciate, how neutral and positive people are. I think that people have been extremely fair towards our team, and I think that's a great thing. So I'm just really grateful that as a team we've done we work really hard, and I think people give us credit for that. So keep doing that, and I do think we're a great team, so look forward to what else we can do, and don't worry too much if right now our team doesn't look too great, because I'd say, from my perspective at least, and how I understand it, like I do want to make sure that we are testing the boundaries of what our team is capable of, and we're not just falling into the trap of the same. We put the same responsibility on the same players, and then we never really test other players on our team. Because sometimes you kind of have to, especially in best of fives, when people come in with prep, they know we always rely on Inspire to have a great game. They start slamming jungle bans. They make the situation really difficult for him. Other players are going to have to step up to help him. And it's important that right now we kind of go through that trial and error process so that we can review how and when we can do that best.
Thank you so much, Bwipo.
Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, leave a like, comment, do all that jazz. I genuinely try to respond to every single comment I see because it's always interesting to see the other opinions of people that care about League of Legends esports as much as I do. Obviously, the best way to support me is to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications on my latest uploads. If you want to see more of me and my content, I stream on Twitch 5 days a week. The link will be in the description box below. If you are into short form content, I'm also on TikTok. We talk about LPL, LCK, LEC, all the stuff over there. We talk about roster moves. So if your jam is short form content, head over to TikTok, hit the follow button there. I'm also on Twitter. So all of that stuff will be in the description box below. But other than that, thanks for watching the video and I hope to see you soon.